What if the greatest danger to your life is not something waiting in the future, but something that has already begun shaping the way you think, the way you live, and the way you choose? What if the mark of the beast is not just a prophecy about a distant tomorrow, but a hidden influence already at work in the world around you? These questions strike at the heart because they demand more than curiosity. They demand courage, they demand honesty, they demand that you look inside and ask yourself, am I already being marked without even realizing it? Every human being longs for freedom. We want to believe we are in control of our choices, that no force can bend us, no system can break us, and no deception can blind us. Yet history has shown again and again that humanity is not enslaved in one sudden moment. It happens slowly, it happens subtly, it happens when fear whispers louder than truth, when convenience feels safer than courage, when compromise becomes easier than conviction. That is how the soul begins to lose its power. That is how the mark begins, not on the skin but in the heart. Think about the small ways control is already exercised over you, the constant bombardment of messages telling you what to buy, who to follow, what to believe. The quiet pressure to fit in, to silence your voice, to go along with the crowd because it feels safer than standing out. The pull of distraction that robs you of your focus, leaving you too drained to rise above the noise. These are not accidents, these are not neutral. They are designed to shape you, to mold you, to prepare you to accept what you never would have accepted if you had been fully awake. And this is why you must not look at prophecy as something far away. The greatest trick of deception is convincing people that they still have time, that the danger is not urgent, that they can wait until tomorrow to take it seriously. But tomorrow is never guaranteed. Every choice you make today is writing the direction of your soul. Every decision to stand or to surrender is either strengthening you or weakening you. The question is not whether the mark will come. The question is whether you are already opening the door to it without even seeing it. You need to understand something powerful. Your life, your mind, your spirit, they are not for sale. No force has the right to own you. No system has the authority to define you. No number, no mark, no symbol can take away the freedom given to you by your Creator unless you give it up willingly. That is why the battle is not outside first. It is inside. It begins with what you believe, with what you bow to, with what you choose to follow when no one else is watching. Stay with this message, because what you are about to discover is not meant to fill you with fear, but with strength. This is not about doom, it is about awakening. It is about exposing what hides in plain sight so you can rise above it. By the end, you will see that you are not powerless, you are not destined to be enslaved, and you are not meant to fall with the crowd. You are meant to rise, to resist, and to live with a courage that cannot be marked. The mark does not begin as something dramatic. It begins in silence, in the hidden choices that seem too small to matter. It begins when people trade conviction for comfort, when they bow not with their knees but with their habits, their words, and their silence. Chains are never placed on the free by force alone. They are slipped on gradually, disguised as convenience, disguised as progress, disguised as normal life. And before many realize it, the chains feel so familiar that they forget they are even wearing them. Look at how easily people surrender pieces of their soul to things that do not deserve them. Hours lost to empty scrolling, thoughts consumed by what others think, energy drained by the need to prove worth through material things. These are not random distractions. They are strategies designed to keep people numb, dependent, and controlled. The more they feed on them, the more enslaved they become. Slowly they stop asking questions. Slowly they stop resisting. Slowly they accept what they once would have rejected. This is how the hidden mark grows, not with a sudden strike, but with 1,000 small concessions. Psychology teaches us that the human mind adapts quickly to what is repeated. Show a lie often enough, and people begin to believe it. Normalize compromise often enough, and people begin to justify it. Surround the soul with noise long enough, and it forgets the sound of silence. This is the true battlefield, where the enemy does not come with chains, but with repetition, with suggestion, with the subtle art of conditioning. When you no longer notice that you are being molded, that is when the molding is most effective. But awareness changes everything. The moment you see the pattern, the moment you recognize the subtle chains, their power begins to break. That is why you cannot afford to live blind. You must wake up to the fact that every choice is either training you to resist or training you to comply. Every time you choose distraction over purpose, you strengthen the voice that wants you weak. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you strengthen the voice that was made to set you free. This is the dividing line. This is where the hidden battle is fought, not in politics or technology alone, but in the daily decisions of the human heart. The cost of surrendering your awareness is too high. When you live unaware, you don't even know you're being marked until the weight of it has already stolen your strength. But when you live awake, you cannot be deceived as easily, you cannot be enslaved without resistance, and you cannot be molded into something you were never meant to be. Freedom is not only about breaking physical chains, it is about breaking psychological ones. It is about rejecting the silent agreements that steal your power and declaring with your life that you belong to no system of fear. You were created with the ability to think, to discern, to rise above the noise. That ability is not just a gift, it is your weapon. You are not meant to drift with the tide of compromise. You are meant to stand in the storm with clarity. The hidden mark thrives in blindness, but it withers in the light of awareness. The more you choose to see, the more you choose to resist, the more impossible it becomes for the world to control you. This is how you begin to live unmarked, even in a world that is trying to claim your soul. The battle is not fought on your skin. It is fought in your mind. Every thought you allow, every belief you accept, every influence you entertain is either shaping you towards strength or shaping you towards surrender. This is why the mark is more than a number. It is a question of loyalty, a test of identity, a war for the deepest part of who you are. The greatest danger is not an external force forcing you to bow. The greatest danger is the quiet erosion of your inner fire until you bow willingly, not even realizing you've surrendered. Your mind is the most valuable territory you will ever possess. Guard it carefully, because everything you think eventually becomes what you live. When you fill your mind with noise, when you feed it constant fear, when you allow it to drown in distraction, you are giving away the very ground where your freedom is meant to stand. This is how the hidden mark spreads, not because it is forced, but because people abandon the discipline to guard their thoughts. A weak mind becomes a fertile ground for lies. A strong mind becomes a shield that no deception can pierce. The world wants you overwhelmed because an overwhelmed mind does not fight back. The world wants you distracted because a distracted mind cannot focus on what matters. The world wants you exhausted because an exhausted soul does not have the strength to resist. But you are not called to live in mental slavery. You are called to rise above it, to renew your mind with truth, to feed your spirit with what makes you strong instead of what makes you weak. You are not powerless in this battle. You have the authority to decide what enters your mind and what you reject. There is a cost for trading truth for comfort. There is a cost for remaining silent when your spirit is urging you to speak. There is a cost for choosing approval over integrity. Every compromise leaves a scar, and every scar is a reminder that you traded something eternal for something temporary. But there is also a reward for choosing courage over fear. There is a strength that awakens in you the moment you refuse to bow, a power that no system can counterfeit, a clarity that no deception can cloud. The mark seeks to erase that power. Your resistance strengthens it. This is why you cannot allow the world to program your mind. Fill it instead with conviction, with principles that cannot be shaken, with truths that endure even when the culture around you collapses. You were not created to be molded by systems of control. You were created to be transformed by the power of truth. And when your mind is anchored in that truth, you cannot be bought, you cannot be manipulated, and you cannot be marked. Do not underestimate the strength within you. Every time you choose to resist conformity, every time you choose to silence the lies and feed on what is real, you are declaring war against the beast that wants your soul. You are proving that no mark, no influence, no deception has the power to own you unless you allow it. The battle for your mind is the battle for your destiny, and victory begins the moment you decide to take back control of your thoughts. This is how you rise unshaken in a world that is collapsing under the weight of compromise. Conformity is the silent thief of greatness. It whispers to you that it is safer to blend in, safer to keep quiet, safer to walk the path that everyone else is walking. It convinces you that standing out is dangerous, that questioning is rebellion, that courage is foolishness. And yet, it is conformity that has destroyed more lives than failure ever could. When you bow to conformity, you abandon the power of your own voice. You surrender the fire of your own convictions. You allow the world to dictate not only what you do, but who you are becoming. The hidden mark thrives on conformity because it requires no force to spread. All it needs is silence. All it needs is a crowd that chooses comfort over courage. Psychology reveals that the pull of the herd is one of the most powerful influences on human behavior. People fear rejection more than they fear compromise. They fear standing alone more than they fear losing themselves. And this is why so many walk willingly into chains, convinced that safety lies in numbers, not realizing that the crowd is often moving toward destruction. But you were not born to move with the herd. You were born to rise above it. The greatest revolutions of history, the most powerful transformations of humanity, came not from those who followed the crowd, but from those who dared to break away. Every voice that carried truth into the darkness began as one person standing against many. Every movement that reshaped the world began with the courage of someone who refused to conform. The mark is hidden in conformity, but freedom is hidden in courage. There is a fire that awakens the moment you decide that standing for truth is worth more than the approval of others. There is a strength that erupts when you realize that the rejection of the crowd cannot destroy you, but the betrayal of yourself surely will. Each time you choose integrity over acceptance, you are declaring that your life will not be branded by fear. Each time you choose to speak when silence feels safer, you are proving that no mark can silence a soul that has chosen to live free. You must understand this. Conformity kills the spirit, but courage multiplies it. When one person stands boldly, it sparks a chain reaction. Courage is contagious. It awakens something in others who have been waiting for permission to rise. The beast feeds on silence, but it trembles when one soul decides to resist. The hidden mark cannot endure in the presence of conviction. The more you choose to stand apart, the more you inspire others to do the same, and together, what once seemed unbreakable begins to crumble. Do not fear being different, fear becoming invisible within a crowd that has lost its way. Do not fear rejection, fear surrendering your identity to gain an approval that is temporary and hollow. You have a choice each day, to live marked by conformity or to live marked by courage. And when you choose courage, you reclaim the freedom that was always yours. You prove that no system, no pressure, no deception can erase the truth written within you. This is how you become unshakable in a world that bows so easily. This is how you resist the mark that hides in plain sight. The true battle is not only about what you resist on the outside, but about what you cultivate on the inside. It is easy to focus on the visible threats, the pressures of society, the systems demanding your conformity, but the greater danger is what begins to grow within when the soul is left unguarded. The hidden mark does not need to brand your body if it has already claimed your heart. What you allow in your inner world becomes the seal that defines you. Purity of mind, purity of intent, purity of spirit. These are the weapons that shield you from corruption. Without them, even the strongest willpower will eventually break. Your inner world is the sanctuary where every choice is born. If that sanctuary is filled with fear, compromise, bitterness, or greed, then the beast already has access to your soul. But if that sanctuary is filled with integrity, courage, and truth, then no mark can take hold of you. This is why protecting your heart is more powerful than protecting your reputation. It is why aligning your inner life with eternal values is stronger than chasing the approval of temporary systems. The mark thrives where integrity dies, but it withers where integrity lives. Every time you choose purity over compromise, you strengthen your foundation. Every time you refuse to be corrupted by temptation, you close another door to the influence that seeks to own you. This is not about perfection, it is about alignment. It is about living in a way that your soul is not for sale, that your truth cannot be negotiated, that your faith cannot be bought. When you stand anchored in inner purity, no external force can shake you. The contrast is clear. On one side are those who wear the hidden mark, consumed by fear, driven by greed, enslaved by systems that promise security but deliver emptiness. They may look strong on the outside, but inside they are hollow, controlled, and marked by what they have surrendered. On the other side are those who carry a different seal, a seal of truth and faith. They are not perfect, but they are unshaken. They are not without struggle, but they are unmoved by fear. They live from the inside out, and because of that, no external mock can own them. The world will always try to pull you into its current, but the soul that is anchored in purity does not drift, it stands. It shines. It resists not by force alone, but by living in a way that no system can counterfeit. This is the power of inner alignment. This is the strength of the unmarked soul. The beast may influence governments, economies, and cultures, but it cannot touch the heart that has chosen integrity over corruption. You are not powerless in this. You are not weak. You are not a victim of what the world is becoming. You have the ability to choose daily who you will be, and those choices carve the seal on your soul. Will you be mocked by fear, by compromise, by conformity, or will you be mocked by truth, by purity, by unshakable faith? The answer is written in the way you live when no one is watching. That is the true mark, that is the hidden victory, and that is the freedom no power in this world can steal from you. The final stand is not something you prepare for someday in the distant future. It is happening now, in the unseen choices of this very moment. Every decision you make is shaping the mark upon your life, either aligning you with fear or aligning you with truth. The world wants you to believe that you are powerless, that you are just another number in a system too large to resist, that you have no choice but to bow, but that is the lie. The truth is that the greatest power you will ever hold is the power to decide who you will be, even when everything around you is trying to dictate otherwise. Prophecy was never given to terrify you, but to awaken you. It was not meant to crush you with fear, but to open your eyes to the urgency of your choices. The mark is not only about the end of time, it is about the test of your time. It asks whether you will surrender your soul for comfort or rise with courage for truth. And that decision is not waiting for tomorrow. It is being written now, in the thoughts you accept, the actions you take, and the convictions you refuse to betray. You cannot wait for the perfect moment to be strong. You cannot wait for everyone else to rise before you choose to stand. Strength is born in the moment you decide you will not be moved, regardless of what others do. Courage is ignited the instant you realize that your destiny cannot be dictated by fear unless you hand it over. The battle is not about what happens in the future. It is about whether you will awaken to the fight already raging in your spirit today. There is a strength inside you that the world cannot touch. It is not given by systems, and it cannot be taken by them. It is the strength of truth burning in your soul, the strength of faith that cannot be silenced, the strength of courage that does not bow. This is the fire the mark seeks to extinguish. But when you choose to fan that flame instead of letting it die, you rise above the grip of fear. You become unmockable, you become untouchable, you become unstoppable. Every day is a declaration. You are either declaring with your choices that fear owns you, or you are declaring that freedom defines you. The mark is not just a symbol on flesh, it is the echo of your allegiance, and when you choose to give your allegiance to truth, no beast, no deception, no force of darkness can claim you. You belong to something greater. You are part of something eternal. You are written into a victory that no system of control will ever erase. So let this be the moment you decide, not tomorrow, not when it feels convenient, not when the world finally applauds your courage. Now, this is the time to rise, this is the time to stand unshaken, this is the time to declare with your life that you will not bow, you will not break, you will not be marked, you were not born for compromise. You were born for victory, you were not made to collapse under fear. You were made to carry a fire that transforms the world around you, and that fire begins to burn the moment you choose to rise. You stand now at the threshold of a choice that defines everything. The hidden mark may already be pressing against the world, but what matters most is not its shadow over society. It is the seal you allow upon your soul. Fear wants to write its name on you. Compromise wants to own you. Conformity wants to erase you, but the strength within you was designed for more than survival. It was designed for victory, for clarity, for transformation. The mark of the beast thrives where people surrender, but it has no power over a life that has chosen to live awake, to live free, to live unafraid. This is the moment to remember who you are. You were not created to be a slave to systems that collapse. You were not meant to bow to powers that rise and fall with time. You were forming your spirit with truth.